Ever wonder what happens when filmmakers decide there are absolutely no rules? The 1970s weren't just wild, they were a battleground for movies that gleefully tossed decency out the window. These weren't just films, they were shock grenades, thrown straight at the faces of censors and polite society. But why did millions flock to see movies others wanted buried forever? Buckle up, because this list isn't for the faint of heart. What you're about to hear will change how you see the so-called golden age of cinema, maybe forever. The Last House on the Left, 1972. What do you get when a first-time director sets out to create the most uncomfortable movie possible? You get The Last House on the Left, and you'll wish you didn't. Before Wes Craven became the mastermind behind Nightmare on Elm Street, he took horror to a new, unsettling place. This is a film where nothing feels safe, nothing is sacred, and every frame practically dares you to keep watching. The story is simple. Two girls head to a concert, make the mistake of trusting the wrong strangers, and soon find themselves caught in a spiral of cruelty that feels all too real. But here's the curveball. After the horror, the villains unknowingly seek shelter in the home of one victim's parents, setting up a final act so raw and unfiltered it had audiences squirming in their seats. Craven's style is rough, almost documentary-like, making it feel more like found footage than a scripted story. The sound, the grainy images, the way the camera doesn't look away when things get ugly, it all adds up to an experience you don't easily shake. The outrage was immediate. Countries banned it. Critics called it a disgrace. Yet, for every voice that tried to shout it down, there were fans lining up to see just how far a film could go. Love it or hate it, The Last House on the Left proved that sometimes pushing boundaries means smashing them to pieces. Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, 1975. If you think you've seen everything, think again. Ilsa. She-Wolf of the SS takes the word extreme and pushes it to a whole new level. This is not a movie that tiptoes around controversy. It jumps in face first and dares you to look away. The setup alone is enough to raise eyebrows. A camp run by a ruthless commandant who treats her prisoners like lab rats, all under the thin excuse of wartime science. But this isn't a cold, calculated drama. It's a fever dream of cruelty and power gone mad, shot through with a kind of reckless energy that makes you wonder if the people making it knew they were crossing every possible line. And here's the twist. Despite the outrageous content, the movie became a runaway success in grindhouse theaters. Some of the people involved tried to erase their names from the credits, ashamed or just scared of being associated with it. But the audiences loved it, and Ilsa went from taboo to cult legend in record time. Sequels followed. Imitators tried and failed to match its mix of shock and spectacle. In the end, it was a strange kind of victory for the film, a movie so over the top that its infamy became its calling card. Whether you watch it through your fingers or can't look away, one thing's for sure. You'll never forget Ilsa. Pink Flamingos, 1972. Think you know what outrageous means? Not until you've witnessed John Waters' Pink Flamingos. Waters didn't just make a film, he launched a full-scale attack on good taste and invited anyone brave enough to come along for the ride. The plot, if you can call it that, is a race to be crowned the world's most notorious person. The competitors? A collection of oddballs, criminals, and outcasts, each trying to outdo the others in a contest that quickly devolves into one jaw-dropping moment after another. The cast, led by the larger-than-life Divine, chews through every scene with glee, turning what could have been a forgettable indie into a midnight movie legend. Real-life locations, friends as actors, and a budget barely enough to buy the film stock, every part of Pink Flamingos is homemade chaos. The result is a spectacle so wild, so unapologetically strange, that it was banned in multiple countries and cut to ribbons by censors. And yet, it endured. Fans swapped bootleg tapes. Midnight screenings sold out for years. Waters himself called it cinematic terrorism, and he wasn't exaggerating. Pink Flamingos isn't just a film you watch, it's a challenge you survive. If you're brave enough, you'll be rewarded with a story so bizarre, you'll never be able to explain it to anyone who hasn't seen it. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974. Few movies have a reputation as fierce or as deserved as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Don't let the low budget fool you. This is a film that rattled audiences, censors, and critics, all while rewriting the rules of horror forever. Tobe Hooper, working with a shoestring budget and an arsenal of raw energy, created a movie that feels less like fiction and more like a waking nightmare. The story: a group of friends on a road trip stumble into a rural home that hides horrors beyond their worst fears. What follows is pure, relentless panic. Chainsaws, hammers, a family of maniacs, and the iconic Leatherface, a villain so disturbing he's become an icon in his own right. The genius of Texas Chainsaw isn't just in the scares, it's in the grimy, claustrophobic atmosphere that soaks every frame. The camera lingers, the screams echo. You start to feel like you're trapped in that sweltering house, desperate to escape. The violence is often implied rather than shown, but your mind fills in the blanks, making it feel even worse. Censors tried to stop it. Some countries banned it outright, but word spread like wildfire, and soon lines wrapped around theaters. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't just a horror film, it's an experience you survive, not just watch. I Spit on Your Grave, 1978. When people talk about the most controversial films of all time, I Spit on Your Grave is always near the top of the list. This isn't a film that's easy to watch or easy to forget. The story is simple. A young woman, alone in a remote cabin, faces the unthinkable and then turns the tables in the most brutal way imaginable. Director Mir Zarchi claimed the film was inspired by real events, and you can feel that rawness in every scene. The pacing is relentless, never giving you a moment to breathe or look away. Critics absolutely loathed it. Some called it the worst movie ever made. Censors tried to bury it, banning it in countries around the globe and sparking debates about what should and shouldn't be allowed on screen. But the audience kept coming, drawn by curiosity, shock, or a strange sense of justice found in the film's second half. The budget was tiny, but the impact was huge, earning millions and influencing an entire subgenre of revenge movies. I Spit on Your Grave is ugly, unforgiving, and impossible to ignore. Whether you see it as exploitation or a twisted kind of empowerment, it's a film that leaves a scar. Super Vixens, 1975. If you ever wondered what pure excess looks like on film, just hit play on Super Vixens. Russ Meyer was the king of go big or go home, and this movie is his wildest parade. You get a storyline that's almost beside the point. A regular gas station attendant gets caught up in a wild chase after he's framed for a crime, leading him across deserts, diners, and through a parade of over-the-top characters. But the real show is Meyer's style. Every shot is dialed up to max. Explosions, fistfights, car crashes, and performances that feel like they could burst through the screen. The energy is so manic you start to question if anyone was actually directing, or if Meyer just uncaged a bunch of chaos and filmed whatever happened. Cast members play everything straight, but you can tell they're having a blast, throwing themselves into the madness without a safety net. Critics didn't know what to make of it. Some called it trash, others called it genius. Audiences? They loved the mayhem. Super Vixens wasn't just wild for the sake of being wild. It was Meyer's love letter to the wild side of American cinema, right down to its rebellious streak. The movie still gets banned in some places, but that only makes its legend grow. If you want to understand the raw, reckless spirit of 70s exploitation, Super Vixens is the movie you don't want to miss. Foxy Brown, 1974. When you talk about stars who broke every rule, You have to start with Pam Grier in Foxy Brown. Here's a movie that took the revenge formula and cranked it up with style, soul, and swagger. Foxy is a woman on a mission, and nothing, corrupt officials, dirty money, or underworld bosses is going to stop her. The plot launches after her boyfriend, an undercover agent, is killed by a ruthless gang. Foxy goes undercover, infiltrating the operation, outsmarting thugs, and turning every trap they set into an opportunity. What sets this movie apart isn't just the action, or even the outrageous situations, it's Greer herself. She brings confidence, humor, and a sense of justice that turns every scene into a showdown. The filmmakers packed the script with witty dialogue and set pieces designed to shock and entertain, but they never forgot to let Foxy shine. For 1974, the movie was nothing short of revolutionary, offering a strong black female lead at a time when Hollywood was slow to catch up. Audiences responded, making it a hit and inspiring a wave of imitators. Foxy Brown didn't just cross lines, it redrew them, proving that grit, determination, and a killer sense of style could go toe-to-toe with any villain. Caged Heat 1974. Step into the prison yard with Caged Heat, where nothing is ever as simple as it seems and survival is the name of the game. Before women in prison flicks became a late-night punchline, this was the film that set the template. You've got everything. A sadistic warden, a doctor with bizarre ideas, and inmates who are pushed until they snap and decide to fight back. But here's the twist. The director was Jonathan Demme, a future Oscar winner who was just getting his start in the trenches of B-movie chaos. Demme took all the classic elements, showers, escapes, betrayals, and added his own sneaky brand of cleverness. Watch closely and you'll spot moments that actually challenge the stereotypes and hint at something deeper beneath the trashy surface. Even so, it's still a riot of color, energy, and spectacle, with every wild turn cranked up for effect. The film wasn't just a cult hit. It launched Demme's career and earned enough buzz to keep people talking long after the credits rolled. Caged Heat is one of those rare exploitation movies that manages to be wild, smart, and unpredictable all at once, showing just how much creativity can thrive when the rules are thrown out the window. Bloodsucking Freaks 1976. Ready for something that even hardcore fans call too much? Bloodsucking Freaks is the cult classic that made the censors sweat and audiences question their own curiosity. Set in a tiny off-Broadway theater, the movie follows a deranged showman who turns fake stage illusions into all-too-real horror for his audience. The whole film is a blur between theater and reality, and it delights in blurring every line it can find. Everything is turned up. The performances, the gags, the sense of chaos. You never know what's coming next, but you know it'll be outrageous. The film was attacked by critics, protested by activist groups, and still managed to find an underground audience that passed it around like forbidden treasure. For many, it's the ultimate dare-you-to-watch movie, one that seems almost designed to get banned, censored, and whispered about. The wild thing is, the film doesn't care if you love it or hate it, it just wants you to react. If you can stomach it, Bloodsucking Freaks is a perfect window into the lawless world of 70s grindhouse, where nothing was off-limits and every taboo was fair game. Hollywood Boulevard, 1976. What happens when two up-and-coming directors are challenged to make a movie in less than 2 weeks, with no budget and all the leftover footage they can scavenge? You get Hollywood Boulevard, a wild meta send-up of the exploitation business itself. The story is a riot. A hopeful young actress arrives in Hollywood dreaming of stardom, but quickly finds herself caught up with the worst movie studio in town, a place where car crashes, pyrotechnics, and accidents are part of the daily grind. Directors Joe Dante and Alan Arkush pack the movie with wild stunts, hilarious cameos, and tongue-in-cheek nods to every low-budget trick in the book. The cast and crew are in on the joke, poking fun at the very business they're working in, and the pace never lets up for a second. The movie was shot for next to nothing, but its energy, wit, and sheer inventiveness make it a standout in the exploitation canon. Audiences and critics alike loved the inside jokes and the knowing winks at Hollywood's dark side. Hollywood Boulevard is proof that even in the world of cutthroat, low-budget filmmaking, you can still find heart, humor, and just the right amount of chaos. The Sinful Dwarf, 1973. Every exploitation fan has that one film they warn their friends about, and for many, it's The Sinful Dwarf. If you think you've seen Strange, this British-Danish curiosity rewrites the definition. The story centers on a seemingly innocent boarding house run by an oddball couple and their unsettling son, Olaf. But what's going on in the basement is the real story, a hidden world where the rules of decency don't apply and every new guest is at risk. The film's atmosphere is both grim and surreal, old toys stacked in corners, rooms that feel more like traps, and music that gets under your skin. It's clear the filmmakers weren't out to make just another horror film. They wanted to disturb, shock, and make viewers question what they just saw. The performances are all in, with the lead actor giving Olaf a mix of menace and childishness that's impossible to shake. Critics panned the movie, and for a long time it was almost impossible to find, existing only in blurry bootlegs and whispered rumors. But for those who discovered it, The Sinful Dwarf became a kind of forbidden secret, proof that sometimes the strangest films are the ones you can't ever forget. The Candy Snatchers, 1973. When it comes to pure, nerve-shredding suspense, The Candy Snatchers delivers in spades. It starts with a kidnapping. 3 criminals snatch a teenage girl and bury her alive, demanding ransom from her stepfather. What sets this film apart isn't just the tension, but the way it refuses to play by any of the old rules. Every character, from the victim to the kidnappers, gets more complicated as the story goes on. The criminals turn on each other, the police are clueless, and the adults who should care most seem oddly indifferent.
It's a bleak world, and the film pulls no punches. The director, Gurdon Trueblood, builds suspense by trapping both the characters and the audience in the same tight spot. Will the girl be rescued? Who will survive? The answers aren't obvious, and that's exactly what makes it so gripping. Critics didn't know what to do with such a downbeat, cynical story, but fans loved the edge-of-your-seat thrills and unpredictable twists. The Candy Snatchers isn't just another crime movie. It's a dark ride into the heart of 70s paranoia, where nothing is safe and nobody gets out clean. Fight for Your Life, 1977. If you're looking for a film that smashed every taboo and left censors scrambling, Fight for Your Life is at the top of the list. This raw, nerve-jangling thriller drops you into the middle of a home invasion that spirals out of control. The story follows a gang of desperate criminals who take a family hostage, unleashing a wave of chaos, cruelty, and stand-your-ground defiance. What makes the film so infamous isn't just the violence or tension, but its willingness to tackle issues of prejudice and revenge head-on in ways that shocked even Grindhouse veterans. The lead performances, especially by William Sanderson as the unhinged gang leader and Robert Judd as the family patriarch, give the film a jolt of authenticity that's hard to shake. Critics were horrified, and many theaters refused to screen it at all, but word of mouth turned it into an underground hit. Fight for Your Life forces viewers to confront their own limits, blurring the line between justice and revenge. It's a film that never lets you off the hook, daring you to keep watching even when your instincts say turn away. So there you have it. 13 films that didn't just cross the line, they left it in the dust. These weren't just stories. They were cinematic shockwaves, challenging what audiences would accept and what the censors could handle. Love them or hate them, they're proof that sometimes the wildest movies leave the deepest mark. Which one surprised you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit subscribe if you want more wild film history, and share this list with anyone who thinks the movies of the 70s were tame. Just remember, once you've seen these, you can't unsee them.